I've missed this song.
A nice, peaceful introduction this morning.
Cheers, my friend.
Salute.
Salute.
What's in that? You making kombucha?
Double espresso, mate. I bought a beautiful coffee machine, and I'm starting to become a master barista. If trading goes wrong.
When you say master, I mean there's different levels to coffee. I don't drink coffee, but there's levels. There's levels to coffee making, surely.
Yeah, I need to get a job in Costa Coffee, mate, to master the coconut flat white.
But you know what? That is the amazing thing, that you'd be getting a job there because you're not doing it for the money. You're doing it because you want to. But surely there are higher end establishments for coffee making than Costa. You can go to like a handcraft. Why not go and live in Italy? Take the family, take the kids. Go in Colombia. Handmade. When I was in Colombia,
we're not allowed to travel, mate.
No, but this year at some point, right? We've got to believe. 4 years ago, I was in Colombia, and they are so passionate about their coffee. It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. Like that's one of their main exports. And every Colombian is so proud of the coffee they take. Most of them drink it with neat, pretty much, just without any flavor, because they want to just have the natural flavor, or without any other added ingredients, should I say. But I'm the wrong guy to talk about coffee. So you tell us.
You don't drink coffee?
No. I did probably about 10, 15 years ago, like before a workout. But now I just want to train naturally and not deplete my adrenal glands and all that stuff. But that's a whole nother conversation.
Wow. But caffeine gives you a boost, right?
It does give you a boost, but it's like a credit card on your body. It's got to be paid back. So, like I say, that's a whole nother conversation. But tell us, Thursday night / Friday morning, for anybody not in the UK like myself, what are the tips to a master coffee? Tell us, please.
Do you know what? We need Alberto on here, mate. He's the expert.
Wait. You've just said you're a master. Now...
I was exaggerating, mate. I was exaggerating.
I'm giving you the chance to quantify that statement, buddy.
Yeah, no, I was lying, mate. I was lying. I just wanted to say something.
Lying or kind of faking it till you make it, which isn't going to work anymore in the world. So any fakers till they makers doesn't work anymore, guys. Apparently so.
Matcha is nice. I agree, Katerina. Matcha is one of those, though, where you're having it because, yes, it tastes all right. It does taste good. But you really are having it more because it's healthy. For what? For me. Whereas coffee is just nice. Basically, the key to good coffee is that if you can drink it neat and it tastes good, then it's... Do you know like why Starbucks is probably the most popular brand? But nobody buys coffee. They buy basically milkshakes. It's like sold as coffee, but really it's a milkshake. It's like I've seen my missus buy a coffee from there, and it's literally like everything on top, so you basically can't taste the coffee.
Mate, my battery's not charging for some reason. Give me 1 second.
What's not working?
Oh no, my battery charger. That's all. It just came out at the back. Hey,
you just
look at the shorts.
Your shorts, basically. Look at this guy making over excuses.
Lucky I've got some on today,
hey? Just to get up, so we can see that it's hot where he is.
Oh, that would have been embarrassing. Actually, yeah, we've got some sunshine for a change in the morning. Yeah, you think you've got everything set up. I had a new microphone clip that stopped working 1 minute before we were coming on air, and yeah, my battery came out. So we're all good now, though, baby. So have we got tea drinkers or coffee drinkers? What's everybody's hot drink of choice? Hi, Nicholas. Yeah, Nicholas, first one in the room again. Nicholas is on it.
He is.
Is that your New Year's resolution? Is that your New Year's resolution, mate? Punctual and prime for everything. Daryl's in the house. How you doing, mate? We've still got Facebook user. So if you follow the link for StreamYard, you can log in and then it'll pop up with your name like it has done for Frosty. Evening, Frosty.
Mate, one thing I was very jealous of you of, Gav.
Hey, Sab. What's that?
That picture you posted of the table tennis with that view in the background. You didn't share it with people in this group, did you?
No.
That was, I think you posted it on your. I was like, I would love.
It was just a story. It was just, well, that's, mate, in Australia, that's the standard table tennis room. You go and hire a table tennis room, and that's the room.
Amazing.
Did
you actually go there?
Yeah.
Wow. You need to share that with the group. That looked amazing. I love table tennis.
Oh, really? But see, that's
table tennis and pool. Those are my games.
But see, when people say that and then they can't back it up. Okay, no, I've got to shut the window again. You love table tennis. Fair enough. But are you any good?
Yes.
Oh.
I was very good, but when you don't play for a little while, you have to get back into it.
Yes.
But I used to be very good.
That's fair. My missus, she was like, why are you good at table tennis? And I was like, well, in the UK, when we're at school, most of the time it's pissing down with rain. So we have to plan for indoor events, right? And in my school, I first started off playing table tennis or ping pong, however you want to say it, in a science room, because that was my room. And we would have the test tubes along the table. That's how I first started playing before I actually got to play on a proper table. So yeah, that's like the rags to riches story. And I always remember, I thought I was really good. And I played this one kid. He was tiny. He was like half the size of me. This was when I was about 14, 15. And it was county championships. I got to the semi-final. And I was like, I saw this kid across the table and I was like, I'm going to smash you, mate. I'm going to get to the final. That's it. I've already won this. And it turns out that he played for England and he might as well have had like a dragon hand because the amount of spin on that ball, it was absolutely ridiculous. And my tail got well and truly placed between my legs on that day. And that's the first day I kind of learned. Don't judge people by their size. Don't judge a book by its cover. That was like a massive, massive lesson for that. He totally handed me my ego on a plate. But
do you know what? When we say we're good at something, we're talking about we're not professionals, right? So if you're professional, then that's a different. So when you say you're good, you're better than the average person. That's how I would see it. Right? Are we talking about? Well, if you say for example, like I said before, I would say I'm a good poker player, but I wouldn't be able to beat the professionals. Is that a limiting belief? Maybe.
But then before you said that you think you could do it professionally, right? You could do it for money, or would you just be taking on people like me that you can basically win every week?
Yeah, I'd rather have the easy prey.
Daryl, that's a good point. That's why there's so many Scottish snooker players because no one goes that
good point, mate. It's interesting though, isn't it? Don't you think that's without going into too much into psychology, but
we always end up doing it. You might as well. We always end up doing it. We find a way.
No, but you know the thing where I don't know, I can't remember the exact thing, but where they broke. Well, it never the record for the mile run or whatever it was. That I can't remember what it was, but it hadn't been broken ever for years and years and years. And then somebody broke. Somebody broke it.
Roger Bannister.
Yeah, there you go. I didn't know the name, but I just remember the story, and I thought it's so interesting, right? Because as soon as somebody broke it, then everybody else broke it. But it's almost like, I don't know, maybe like snooker players, they say, maybe there's a belief that Scottish people are good at snooker. So when you're Scottish, that's the game you play. But it's amazing how much programming we have.
It's definitely not football.
Definitely not.
What's that one that they do from Braveheart? You know, where they chuck the logs. Maybe they should bring that one back. Log humping. No, it's not that.
No. What was that game that they play? Like where they're sweeping stuff.
You know that?
Sorry, people, but what is that? They're basically sweeping. What's it called?
I have no idea what it is, mate.
Do you know what?
Yes.
What is it?
Connor, of course. Connor McEwen has to chime in. How you doing, Connor?
Connor, I don't mean any disrespect or anything, but I can't regard that as a sport, honestly.
It's all in good heart.
Just cleaning, guys. Just cleaning.
Good-hearted banter, Connor.
Is it that curling? I think that's
something different. That's no, curling's the where you scrub the ice, right?
That's what I was trying to say. They're basically.
Oh no, I was on about caber tossing.
No, I don't know what that is.
Okay, fair enough. I can't even find that comment.
Anyway.
Yeah, 10 minutes. 10 minutes in, 11 minutes in, and we've talked about your coffee making skills or lack of them, table tennis,
delicious,
and the 4-minute mile. How is everyone? How is everyone this week? I just want to see. I'm sure I saw someone put beer pong instead of table tennis or ping pong. Have you ever played beer pong? Probably.
It's familiar, but I can't remember how you play it. I know that doesn't it end up in cups or something?
It ends up with copious amounts of alcohol, and basically it's just basically drinking off a table tennis table. Some genius called it beer pong.
You couldn't play that anymore.
Not anymore. Well, I could play for you. I'm pretty good at it, but I wouldn't be drinking it, so there's no point because there's no forfeit or benefit for me. I used to miss on purpose just so that I could drink. So basically, if you get it in a cup, they have to drink the cup, and then you have like 12 cups.
Yeah, I remember I played it years ago.
Exactly that. So people are doing good, which is awesome. So let's jump into the show this week. I haven't asked you how you are, by the way. Very rude of me. Yeah, no one asked.
I'm not going to lie, it's been a tough couple of weeks. A lot going on at home, and obviously with kids not being able to go to school, it's been quite challenging. But other than that, as you know, I always push forward, and I see everything as a challenge. So we just get on with it. That's the attitude you have to have. So, but yeah, no, it's been it's been tough. I'm not going to lie. Last 2-3 weeks, I've been hardly sleeping. It's all good. Nothing I can't handle.
Awesome.
You've been all right? You've been brilliant. You don't want to show off, but you've been relaxing.
There's it's been a strange start to the year energetically. There's a lot of things happening, and I won't go too deep into that. But I've actually been doing a lot of internal work as well. So yeah, the table tennis was fun, but been doing a lot of work inside inner reflection. I don't know if you guys follow MMA, but I saw an interview with Mr. Conor McGregor, and regardless of what you think about his antics over the last 18 months or 2 years, before that, he was an inspiration to a lot of people. And he seems to have got himself back and centered, and he's a bit more humble. And he's worked hard, so he's obviously confident in what he's doing, which is the great balance. But he was saying a lot of people, including himself, were forced to look internally, were forced to look inwards during this whole episode, and it's so true. And he was like, I'm so glad that I did. I was forced to look inwards because then I could work on what things didn't need to be around, what was limiting beliefs, what were things that I just don't need to carry with me into 2021. And it's so true. And I've been doing a lot of that, actually. I've been kind of cocooned up a little bit as well, but it's good to try and get the balance. And, you know, I'm not moaning for 1 second. So yeah, like someone said here, again, if you want to log in to StreamYard so that we can see your name, because that's so true. Good is good. You are healthy. I can kind of elaborate on that. And it's good as long as we've got our health, right? We've got our mental health, we've got our physical health, then we're in a position to go. And 2021 is either going to be the best year of your life, or it's probably going to be even crapper than 2020. And it's up to us to take responsibility for that, because we're the ones that create it. So, yeah.
Yeah,
that's my Miss World. That's my Miss World speech over and done with.
One of my favorite quotes is, and it's something that it's always there, part of me, is it's not what happens, but it's how you react to what happens. That's internal in me. So I always say that when something crappy happens, I have that in the back of my mind, and I always think about that. So it's like, how can I react? Or even if I overreact to something, then immediately I try and catch myself and react the right way. And I think, okay, well, what can I do? How can I make the most of this situation? What can I do to utilize the opportunity to grow, rather than to, I'm very focused on what I'm doing. I want to be doing what I want to be doing, but sometimes things happen in your life and you can't do those things, especially when you've got a family. So it's then saying, okay, well, maybe there's a reason for this, and now I need to say, well, what can I do? So, for example, to give people, if I'm doing things that, let's say, require no brain power, I'll stick my headphones on and I'll do them, but I'm listening to something. So I've been listening to the Letting Go that you recommended, and that's been great. And other audio books, and I'll try and use that time to acquire knowledge if I can, or go for a run or whatever it is. So.
Yeah, and you've touched on something there without going too deep into it, but all we can is up to everybody watching as well. If you want to join in, the only thing we can control is our reaction to things. We can't control, and I've been through it. You try and intellectualize everything, and you want to control everything and say, well, if I do this, then this. It's not going to happen like that, and that's what I can only speak from my personal experience. The only thing that we can control is our reaction to something, whether it's good or bad. And even then, it's just us putting a label on things to box it somewhere in our brains. It's the only thing we can control. And one of the people that I've been listening to, and they summed it up perfectly. It's like all the things are going to happen. We're here. We're on a path, and we're going to experience these things because we've wanted or agreed to experience these things. All we can do is experience them and believe and trust that they're in our best interests. We've just got to find the lesson or find the way to make it our best interest and have faith. This year is all about having faith. And I guess that links in nicely to trading, because, a lot of us here are new, and we have to have faith that we're actually going to be able to do this, because there's a lot of naysayers. There's a lot of people that aren't willing to put themselves in the situation. They just want to be safe. And if you're going to be safe, if you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you've always got, is a phrase that is really kind of resonated with me. And it's so true. And it takes a lot of courage to jump out and change what you're doing, but we have to have faith. One of the main things for this year, I believe, is about having faith. And even when it seems like it's crap, it's actually working out for us in some way. And actually, when I've applied that in my life, it takes the heaviness away. If anything else, it takes the heaviness away, and it's a really great reframe. So I see that we've got some royalty in the house today.
Royalty.
Unless my mind's crazy, I'm sure. I saw a message from Alberto. Maybe his ears were burning about the coffee. Maybe his ears were burning. I'm sure I saw him in there. Maybe really? He's not. If you are, ciao, Alberto. We need your help. On
honestly, I don't know what's up with him. He's on I think he's on a midlife crisis. He just keeps sending me messages about spam. So randomly.
Surely he could afford the copper. as in spam in a can, or spam as
Spam
in?
again. He's just discovered it, and he's asked me. Oh, he's been asking me about it.
That's nuts. That's crazy. But do you know what? Why not live a little and do things?
Absolutely.
That's kind of, well, yeah. That would be a judgment on mine. I was about to say that's a regressing or a regressment, but that's a judgment on my
part. Maybe
part.
when you're at the top, you have to try things that you don't. Maybe caviar is his normal, and truffles are his normal things to eat. So spam is maybe is a luxury.
Exactly that. So let's jump in to the content. Thank you very much if you're watching on the live. If you're catching the show on the rerun, we love you too, but obviously not as much as if you're watching it live. So thank you very much for committing and doing that. So this week, we were going to talk about it last week, and obviously we ran out of time. So we've given ourselves enough time this time to talk about funding and all things funding. So some people that I speak to have no idea about what it is. Some other people have used it to good effect to get where they want to be. Do you want to kind of give us the professional kind of version of and breakdown of funding and all things related to trading, please?
Yeah, I mean, when I was learning to trade, and I think even when you started all those years ago, I think that was one of the biggest problems, is not having enough capital to trade. So that's one of the most common questions I get asked: how much money do you need? And sometimes I'll if I'm honest with people, I'll say, look, honestly, you need a minimum of 10k. And then people were like, wow, I thought I was going to start with £500. Like, there's no way I could invest 10k. And I get it, of course. It's not a small amount of money for a lot of people. So that's kind of like part, because there's digressing a little bit, but like there are things that are musts if you want to succeed at this. And one of those is definitely capital. There's a few other things, and by having enough capital, it means that you can trade without that pressure on you. And that's a big, big deal, because as we know, one of the big things is psychology, right? So if you don't have, if you're worried about the money that you're trading, you're not going to be able to trade it the right way. So, and I'll go into the specifics of funding, but just kind of like, I think it's an important point, is that if you want to trade and make money, which everybody does, and I know because I've been there, the process is, if you can almost just be unattached to the outcome, can be completely unattached. And I've said this to so many people individually, and people find it hard to understand or accept, like, to be unattached to the outcome. So like a common kind of response to that is, well, obviously, I've got bills to pay, I need to make money, so how can I be unattached, right? That's a normal common reaction. I don't know if you've heard that as well before, but that's typically what somebody would say to me. But yes, it's almost like the way you want to think about it is like, you want to make X amount of money. Yes, that's your goal. That's in the backdrop. But now it's almost like, okay, let's forget that. Now let's focus on the process and focus on rules and following the process. Now, if you're trading a £500 account, the reality is like, if you're doing correct risk and money management, your hope of making a decent amount of money is you're not going to be able to make anything significant that's going to count for anything, right? So on £500, if you're doing extremely well, you'd be making £50 a month. Now, how many people are going to stick to doing correct risk and money management if you're doing all this great work? And Gavin, and some of the students know how much work goes into finding a great quality trade, right? Imagine doing all this amazing work. You found the perfect trade. You found the top, and then suddenly you take your trade and you've made £2. Well, that's fine when you're beginning, but after a while, you're going to be like, this is ridiculous. I'm earning about 50p an hour, or whatever it is. So that's why funding is important. So if you have a good process, you have good rules, you understand how to make money, but you just don't have the capital, then what you can do is you can do an assessment. And the assessment will basically test your ability to trade. Now, we do it, we offer it, and there's other companies that offer it as well. And there's the investors, private investors as well, where you can show them a track record. So that's a bit different. And every investor and every company will have their own criteria. But generally speaking, it's about, can you trade with low drawdowns and a consistent return? That's all we're looking for. Are you a safe pair of hands? That's it. So you kind of do this assessment, and if you prove that you're good, you'll get an initial account, right? So that might be like 10K. Now, 10K, again, is not a huge amount of money, but with 10K, as we said, 10%, you're looking at 1,000 a month. But then as you trade and you show that you are continuously still performing with real money, then that 10K can become 100K quite easily, and it can become 1 million quite easily. And I mean easily, because if you are safe and if you are good, you can basically, there's no reason why, for example, why I wouldn't give you more money to trade. What would be my doubt? Can he handle that money? Is he going to be able to give me the same as what he's been doing? So as you know, we all have limiting beliefs about money, and everybody has a mental cap of what is a lot of money. So if you think making 100K a month is insane, well, you're going to have some struggles with that. And so therefore, if I gave you, 1 million or 2 million to trade, you're probably not going to be able to immediately make the same returns as you did before. So that's why the way you do this is you gradually increase the amount of money. So you don't want to go from trading £1,000 or £5,000 or 10 to suddenly doing 100. There has to be like a stepping up process. And one little trick that I kind of always think is a good idea to do is before you start to trade bigger amounts, do it on a demo account and do it with accountability. Do you want me to elaborate?
Yeah. This is well, we've given it enough time. So I think there's a lot of stuff in there that we can break down. So yeah, go through the accountability part or the breakdown that you've just said, and then we can pad it out. And if you guys have got any questions, start sending them in so that we can be specific for you.
Yeah, if you do something enough times, your brain will not know the difference between a demo account and a real account. Not in muscle memory, which is important. So if you trade, and I'll tell you why I count it. This is really important, guys, if you understand this. So I emphasize stuff when I know it's a key thing that's going to help somebody get to the next level. If you put 100K on a demo account and nobody's watching, whatever, you're unlikely to do things correctly. You're unlikely to have at some point you might have a bad trade, right? And what will you tell yourself? You'll basically say, oh, it's only a demo account. You've rationalized it, right? You've broken your rules, but you've rationalized it, and nobody knows. You're like, it's only a demo account, doesn't really matter. No, it does matter, because that's exactly the thing that we have to tackle right now. And we have to know about it, that you've done that. Because if you've done that, now you're going to do it when it's live, 100%. You will do it again. So if you've broken your rules, there has to be some accountability. So the idea is, can you go 1 or 2 months trading the account size that you want to be trading, doing consistent trading, journaling, taking good trades, making sure somebody knows about your trades. So sending reports to somebody, so that even it's just that, sending a report to somebody once a month or once a week, as I do with my coaching students. I get reports of them so that I know what they're doing. And I don't know, for me, when I have that accountability, I will do everything I can to not break my rules. Like I will do everything I can to please my mentor, like so that I can show them something positive. So, and if it's not positive, it's fine. But the most important thing is the process of it. And if you can do it for 1 or 2 months, here's what happens. You go live now, having done that. But here's the most important thing is exactly what you touched upon before, Gavin, which is belief. You now have the know-how in your brain. You've just done it. You've done it and you've taken it. So it's like, right, okay, these are the trades I'm taking. This is how it looks. This is how the P&L moves. And you understand like I said to you when you were doing it, like you understand what it is to take a 1% loss and have 1,000 down, like if we're doing 100K, and then being able to deal with that, or having 2 trades in a row or 3 trades in a row, and you're suddenly 3K down, and now you've got to continue and take that next trade. You've experienced it and you've recovered from it. There's nothing like it. That's why, like, I honestly believe, like, that's why champions stay champions for many, many years, because they have the muscle memory of how it works and what you have to do to overcome those little challenges. So I know I digressed a little bit, but it kind of fits in really nicely with why funding is important, because if you want to grow, if you have to keep saving up money, that's one problem. It takes a long time. Second problem is, unless you happen to have the money, or you have to have a lot of spare money, you're probably going to be trading with scared money. Whereas when it's not your money, you don't need to worry. Like, and this is what I explain to people, when we invest in traders, like now, and when we used to invest in traders in the hedge fund world, we would do everything to make them completely comfortable. In other words, I'm not going to tell you to go and lose it, but I will tell you, don't worry about it. If you lose it, you lose it. It doesn't matter to us, because, and it honestly doesn't matter, because it's a numbers game. Like if we're talking, like, obviously we have compassion and we care about our students and the people we're trying to help, but I'm just talking about from a numbers point of view to make you feel completely comfortable. If you lose money, it's not going to make any difference to me. It's not going to make any difference to me. It's going to make a difference to you because you're not where you want to be, but it won't impact me whatsoever. And it means that you can just go and trade completely without that, as Jurgen Klopp would say, that without that backpack on our shoulders. Had to bring Jurgen into
it. Fair enough. Well, he's obviously a great inspiration of what it means to be day in and day out, hour by hour on your craft. And obviously crafting a lifestyle, it's not an accident. He's a winner and a champion. And we all have that potential in whatever field and endeavor we choose to do it on. So that's kind of a really in-depth overview. So do you want to break down how does it work? Just in general, how does it work? What does the assessment entail? What do people need to get to? What's like the KPIs that they need to be aware of? Yeah,
I mean, there's a document we can send people, but like in high level terms, what we give people is what I think is a very reasonable target, which is a 1-to-1 ratio. Now, it doesn't matter if it's, I mean, we have like 10% with 10% risk. So 10% target, 10% risk. But some people have asked us, whether we can reduce the target and reduce the risk. We can do that. I mean, we're not set up for that, but it really doesn't matter. So what we're trying to basically test is, can somebody make, a good trader can typically make the same or more than what risk capital they have. So if I give you 10 grand of risk capital, you should be able to make me 10 grand a month. That's basically and that's a minimum, really. Like the top traders that we were hiring, we wouldn't even take people at that level. Like, I'm just being honest. we would be looking for a bigger return than that. But remember, we were paying salaries as well at that time. You know, they were coming in getting a salary and great commission, and they were trading big size accounts. So we would be a little bit more demanding. But these guys are developing traders, so we can't be too demanding. So we feel like if you can control risk, achieve a 1-to-1, so achieve 10% in a month with 10% risk, that's pretty much your sort of 90% there of passing. There's a couple of other things as well, but that's kind of the main challenge, let's say.
So what does that mean when you say 10% risk? So you're only risking 10%, like you're only risking a certain percentage on trades? How does it, how do you unpack that for people? What does that mean?
Yeah, so essentially it's up to you how many trades you take or what risk you put on each trade. What we would say is, you know, depending on your strategy, and you need to understand your strategy, like you have 10% portfolio risk, which is, so if you were trading a 10 grand account, you've got £1,000 that you can lose, for example, and you need to make £1,000. So that's it. That's all it is. Does that make sense or no?
So if people want to put in the comment section, if that makes sense, and we'll check in with the comments shortly, just to see how people are getting on whilst they're doing that. And obviously we can rewatch it back as well. So you're just saying you've got a portfolio of 10% that we've got access to, and you're expected to make 10% off that, right?
Correct. Yeah. Which
so you can have exposure, so you can be invested, you can have 10% invested, but you're expected to make that 10% back, with whether it takes 2 days or 20 days, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you know, and whether you want to risk, for example, so if we talk numbers, you have £1,000 risk, say, you could say, well, I'm going to risk 0.5%, so £50 per trade, and therefore you've got 20 trades where if you lost 20 trades, you would lose. Now, where you need to be smart with this is you need to have done this on a demo account. You need to look and see, right, how many trades on average do I take? And how many losses and winners do I have? And how many losing trades in a row is the maximum I've ever experienced? And then you can optimize how much you risk on each trade. Does that make sense, Gavin? To you and to everybody else, actually?
Yeah, it's making more sense now for me. Just while we keep the comments coming in, and please keep the comments coming in, guys, even just for the algorithm. So just put plonker or yes. If you don't have a question, that's our form of currency payment for the show. So we really appreciate that. Just a little side note. Keep the Facebook algorithm happy. When you, just so that we know the benchmark. So when you were in the hedge fund days and you were looking to take someone on, what's the creme de la creme? What were the KPIs and targets that you were expecting of those guys to get into your hedge fund to trade?
A profit factor of 2 to 1 would be like the top guys. That's something that, I mean, more than that would be unlikely and not sustainable. So so that low drawdowns in general, less than 10%, ideally max drawdown on any track record, and for high performance, profit factor of 2 to 1, which is essentially your, you know, like when we talk about in trading, our reward to risk is 2 to 1 or 3 to 1 or whatever it is, right? Well, it kind of doesn't really mean anything, because it's just what you're going for when you enter the trade. But how many people stick to their plans, right? Like they'll be like, oh yeah, this is a great trade, 3 to 1 trade, and then it's like it's £10 up, and they're like, let me take that profit. So in essence, it ends up not meaning anything. So the profit factor is the real it's the real reward to risk in a way, because it tells you how much you make when you win, and it tells you how much you lose when you lose. And then you take that ratio and you do that divided by that, and that gives you your profit factor. Now, 2 to 1 is extremely high, but anything above 1.5 is excellent. But yeah, I mean, when you're trading for 1 month or 2 months, you may have something much higher, but it won't be sustainable for years. Let's put it that way. So we won't trust something more than 2 to 1, not in the long term.
Cool. Okay, so let's jump into some of the questions and comments. I'm just scrolling through. Lorian, how you doing, mate? So did this mean that your total month's trades can only risk 10% even if you make money? Or does that mean that you can only lose a maximum of 10?
Correct, yeah. So that's a great question. So no, you can only lose a maximum of 10. So like if you are up, obviously, then you've got more. So you can risk, well, the only other limit is 5% a day, which is you should never be doing anyway. Like we recommend 2% risk a day max, because if you have a 5% loss in a day, well, I mean that you're halfway to your monthly loss max. So you want to try and keep that risk. So when you're not doing well, you definitely, I would even, 2% absolute max in a day. Even less would be better for this target. Are you there, mate? Have you paused? Nick, I don't, guys, has Gavin paused? Or is it just me? And I'll answer your question, Nick. Yeah, he's frozen. Yeah, no worries. Oh, he's gone. He'll be back in a minute. Do you know what it is? It's I think it's because he's been taking the mickey out of me with my internet, and actually, it seems it's the other way around now. To answer your question, Nick, well, it's not a case like, why won't you trust more than 2 to 1 long-term volatility? It's just mathematically, the return is too high to sustain that. It's highly unlikely you're going to find anybody to be able to sustain a profit factor more than 2 to 1. It's possible, but highly unlikely. You've got to risk to make money, and how, and if you've got a profit factor of more than 2 to 1 consistently for years, it's just highly unlikely. It's not impossible, but highly unlikely. So I would say that in the short term, yes, because there's not enough data, but as your sample size increases, it will even out, and you'll probably, if you're making put it this way, in a different way, if you're doing 1.5 profit factor, you're going to be making a lot of money. So it's unlikely that you're going to need to do that anyway. Would you recommend then having a maximum reward to risk of 2 to 1? No, it's remember, your profit factor is totaling all of your gains, when you win, and it's totaling all of your losses when you lose. And then when you divide the two together, it gives you your profit factor. So if, for example, you had a reward to risk ratio of 5-1 on one trade, so you risked, I don't know, £1,000, you made 5,000. So that's a £5,000 return. Then let's say, for example, you take a loss of £1,000, and then you take another loss of 1,000, another loss of 1,000. That's 3,000. What would happen is it would be 5,000 divided by 3,000 would be your profit factor for those 4 trades. Does that make sense? Oh, is this Gavin? There he is. Mate, do you know what? This is karma, because for how many, all these weeks you've taken the mickey out of my internet, and my internet is perfect now. Huh? Yeah. Last week as well, laughing away, and then Katerina confirmed it was you.
Fair shout on that. Apologies for that. And this, I'm going to give a free plug. I probably don't agree with all of any big tech anymore, but Apple over Windows. This is why I don't like Windows. I don't trust Windows. Some sort of restart update overnight on my laptop, so I've had to jump onto my Mac. So sorry about that, guys. But yeah, it looks like you handled the shit pretty well. I can go and have a cup of coffee now if you want. So.
You don't drink coffee.
Yeah, exactly. Good point. No, I'm here. So sorry about that. So yeah, I don't know if you were mid-flow of answering someone's question or something, but I could see you on my phone, and I was like, hang on a minute, it's not my Wi-Fi, it's the freaking laptop. So yeah, have I kind of interrupted your answer for something, or?
No. I literally just finished answering a question, so we're good.
Okay, perfect. Because one other thing that I wanted to say about, and I don't know if you've already covered this one, some people have said more to do with the issue of money is that they don't have fear around losing, and I'm paraphrasing because I can't see the actual questions right now, but a couple of guys I think were saying about that they don't actually have an issue around losing money. They don't have a fear around losing money. So how would you kind of counter that? But they're still losing money. So how it's kind of like the opposite, I guess.
Okay. Well, I mean, this is it's not an easy question because there's so many different angles to this. But so they're losing money, but it's not but they feel it's not because of a fear of losing money, right?
It sounds like this is going to be a bigger issue for us to unpack maybe next week's show. But if you just want to give like a couple of top line indicators on that, and then we can jump into your professional trade setup of the week, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you're not fearing losing money, one, it could be because you're not trading with money that you care about or enough money. So you're losing because you're gambling, you're risking too much on each trade, you're trying to make a lot from a little. That could be one of the reasons. And there's so many different psychological elements to this that I think we would need a bit more time to go through it. But I want to really think about the answer. But like the not fearing losing money, yes, it could be your edge. Like we mentioned before, are you confident in your edge? Like, can you repeat that edge? Like, you guys have seen me. I don't know, Kevin, Gav, you've seen me a bit even closer. Like, I have a very set process, which now you're kind of taking on, right? of how I find my trades. And I know there's an edge there. Like, I know it because I know my results, but I just know it internally. That's an absolute belief. So whatever happens, I can't imagine anything to knock my confidence from what I'm doing, even if I have a few losing trades. So I guess like it's believing in your edge, and the way you're going to do that is what we said before: create rules, practice, get the results, even on a demo account, have accountability. Once you have that belief and confidence in your system, you'll start to make money, especially if you don't fear the amount of money that you're trading. You don't fear losing it.
Okay, cool. Well, look, hopefully that's answered that question, at least on a top line level. And yeah, if you feel strongly about this, remember, guys, even if you're watching it on the rerun, you're not in live with us, then just whack down the questions in the group, and that can give us content for what we talk about next week. But I think that's something we can talk about a bit more around that. So do you want to jump into the professional trade setup of the week, please, sir?
I certainly will. I'm going to disappoint a few people because I did have a look at some of the requests. However, I didn't choose any of them simply because I didn't like any of the setups, and some of them were complicated. So I looked at gold because I can't remember who asked me, Lee, I think. I looked at dollar CAD, James, and sterling Kiwi. Didn't really like them. So I have decided that the trade of the week is going to be on the Kiwi today.
So here's just on that note, that's proving your point personified about your edge. If it doesn't fit your rules, you're not going to bend your rules just to try and take a trade that's not fitting your edge, and it's not going to have a high probability of working out, right?
Completely right. That's right. And that's the thing. It's like if I'm gonna offer something to people, I want to make sure that it's a good setup, that one that I would take, that I would put my money on. So all of the others I wouldn't have traded. So that's why I decided not to cover those tonight.
Cool.
So Kiwi, let's start with the weekly. So all these blue lines that you guys can see, I can redraw them, but basically they have come from our weekly indicator. So for those that are not familiar with what this does, it's basically the support and resistance. Let me just get my pen up as well. It is the support and resistance on the higher time frame. Now, it's important to know this as a filter. So remember, we're always using the higher time frames as a filter, so I understand the picture, and then we're going to look for a potential setup. So I always start here, and the first notable thing that I saw is this area here, which I've highlighted here in blue, is a very, very strong zone. Okay, so when you see multiple lines like this together, that's indicating a massive roadblock in the way. And as the market has been going up, okay, it's likely that the sellers are going to take control of this market soon. Okay, now that's all of the conclusion that I need. So the market is going up, but based on what I can see, the sellers are going to take control soon. So I just repeated it because we're off this time frame. We're not jumping in to sell. So now I just want to kind of like also zoom in a little bit and show you that this market has been going up quite strong. So it's important that you observe that, right? There's no rush to sell this right now. Look at this green strong bar, green, 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 little hesitation, another little rejection, up, low test, up, strong up, a little rejection. This is strong momentum, right? You have to feel and understand the market that you're trading. So don't be in a rush if you want to sell this, right? Don't be in a rush. And that's why I spend time observing these things. It makes a real difference when I go to the next time frame. So let me just go to the daily chart. Now, on the daily chart, what I've done here is I've put in our Fibonacci, and I can see now for those that don't understand how this works, basically we have an A, we have a B, and this here is our expected pullback. Okay, but what's happened is the market has gone up. This is called a super shallow pullback, starts to go up, and look where we are. We are basically in what we call our fade zone, our sell zone, right? We are in between this area here. Okay, so this automatically, so basically, guys, for those that don't understand how this works, we expect this market to come back to this red zone, and these are hidden areas of resistance. And also, as you guys have seen me, I always like to see where the old 200 is, which at the moment is here. So there's a potential that this market has already found its high here, but I'm just kind of looking for something different. I'm looking for a little push up. Okay. By the way, this little line here, this measures when the market is a little bit extended. So at the moment, it's kind of sitting there, which is quite nice. So I'm just going to tell you the price of that area at the moment. So that's around 73.55, and then the maximum sell zone, so 74.18, 73.55, right? So we can write that down somewhere. And again, I'm just filtering. No, wrong one. This one. So I'll just put basic numbers, 73.50 to 74.18,
wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, these are just like I said, it doesn't really matter about writing it exactly correct, but because again, they're just going to be filters for us.
Okay.
Right. So let's now go to the 4 hour. So here's the 4 hour. So the 4 hour right now, this is our daily trading range. This obviously right now is not relevant for today, but this will be quite relevant potentially tomorrow or whenever the setup is there. So let me just get rid of the daily trading range, but we will like that for confluence. And I've just drawn in my fibs on here to see where the cycle completes on the 4 hour. So we've got an A, B. Again, there's your C, okay, in the red zone. And that gives us a target of there, right? Now, I will tell you my preference is I'd like to see this go up like that if I could choose it, because this kind of area here is a really nice support. If everybody can see, can you see the touches that we're getting here? Support, support, support. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It would be great if we can kind of get resistance here. Let's have a look and see what level that is. That comes in at 73.72. So what we want basically is for it to be within our boundary, which it is 73.50 to 74.18. So 73.70. Let's go back to that weekly chart. Let's see where 73.70 is on the weekly. Right there. Perfect, right? Right there. So if we can get a DTR in the next couple of days up there, and if we can go up a little bit slow, so we don't just, I mean, it's not a deal breaker, but I prefer it that it goes up slow. So it's almost like momentum changing, and then we could look to be selling it up here. Now, for those that don't want to sell high points, you could wait for this trend line to break. So you could wait for it to reject and then break, look for a pullback, and then look to trade it down like that. My strategy, I prefer to be looking to sell it here. So I'm going to be looking to have a DTR confluence, and hopefully, if not this week, next week, we should hopefully get a nice short in the Kiwi dollar. And if you want to wait for confirmation, guys, you can wait for a candle formation. But like I said, for me, this is a great setup and has a lot going for the short side.
Awesome. Again, thank you very much for that. A couple of questions that spring to mind on that. When you say wait for a candle formation, on what time frame would you be looking for that confirmation formation?
Probably the 4 hour or the hour. So, yeah, I mean, if you're going to wait for confirmation, the hourly or the 4 hour would be fine. Probably for something like this, the 4 hour, because there's, yeah, it depends what you're going to go for as well. But yeah, the 4 hour is probably the right one.
And because you wouldn't risk missing out on the bounce already then if you wait for the 4 hour rather than like something like the 15-minute chart?
I'll tell you, like, yeah, you can. I mean, if you're waiting for the 15-minute chart, I actually don't even count that as confirmation. Like, that's just price action reaction. That's waiting for a little reaction. But there's some people that don't feel comfortable with that, like, because you're getting into a trade that's got strong momentum up. So in that case, you could wait for a 4 hours to get a proper rejection candle. So that's like, that's enough time to make it significant.
And then another thing that stood out was when you were doing the analysis or feeling the market with the candles going up on the weekly. Obviously, you've repeated that on the on this 4 hour chart. So just to clarify that applies for all time frames, right? That movement and that flow. Yeah,
it does. It definitely does. But before I get here, I have to understand what's going on the weekly and the daily. Because if I haven't appreciated what's going on there, because sometimes we kind of we don't go deep in the market. We don't think about it from that point of view. We just think about it like, oh, I'm just going to plug in some indicators. So it's all, I don't know how to explain it, but I'd like to think that I like to think that I dive into the ocean with every trade. Like it's almost like I try and understand what's happening on this chart. Like, who are the participants? What's the strength of the move? So I'm really, really in sync with it. I don't know if that makes any sense to anybody. It's hard to explain.
Don't mind again.
Have you gone, mate? I'll ask the question to everybody since Gavin hasn't paid his internet bills. Everybody, does it make sense what I'm saying? Just type in a yes. Or if it doesn't, also be honest and just type in a no. Can you guys hear me? Be one with water. Yeah, exactly like that. That's great. Yeah, you don't need to be in a rush to take a trade. Really try and understand what's going on, and it takes a little bit. And I think the more you do it, the more you look at charts, the more you study, the less attached you are to the outcome, the more you're going to be able to do that naturally. Gaven has disappeared. He's hopefully coming back. There he is. There he is.
Apparently, when the sun comes out early in the morning, it affects the Wi-Fi.
Yeah. No. It's karma, mate. We've already established this.
I have no Scooby-Doo what the heck's going on, but I presume everybody else managed to get the end of that question with regards to the feeling of the market, right?
Yeah. This is exactly right.
And I guess the temptation is like you've said, you know, you're not being pulled into it. Like when you, I think, and I can speak for myself on this, but and maybe other people empathize with this, but when you've had some success and you think you've got an edge, you're trying to make everything fit into that edge. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Rather than having that patience.
Yeah, it's like exactly what Steve just said there as well. It's like feeling like you have to do something. Like an interesting thought, nothing to do with trading, but is what do you do? It's interesting, the psychology side of it, because I think like it makes it. What do you do when you have a plate of food and you're full up? Do you just finish it anyway because it's on your plate?
Me?
Well, you and the group. Like
if it's summer in Australia, then no. But if it's winter in the UK, then yes, most definitely.
Just because that's the food that's on your plate, you just feel like, well, I might as well eat it, right?
Okay.
Oh, he's gone again. He's left me hanging again. There he is. He's back.
By the way, I'm on. I can't vouch for Max now either, can I?
No.
It's a good old Wi-Fi issue. Yep, definitely the Wi-Fi karma is kicking my ass this week. So, yeah, no, that's an interesting. It's an interesting point. Not one that I totally fully understand. So I'm sure there's an answer to this cryptic clue.
No, it's the same kind of psychology, isn't it? Just because it's there doesn't mean you have to eat it, right? And I guess it's just because you're looking at your screens doesn't mean he's gone again. Don't worry. Just because we're looking at our screens doesn't mean we have to trade. And it's just like that. It's kind of like the same. Play as you go. Yeah, exactly, Tony. He's not telling us the truth. Yeah, but it's a good point. It's just it's interesting. I know sometimes there's a lot of it's programming, but the way you think about that is also the same. You bring the same person in trading. So like when there's when you're staring at your screens, you feel like you have to trade. Like I mean we've gone over time, but one thing I'll say is it's very hard for people outside of trading. So outside of traders, so you guys understand it, but it's very difficult for people to understand that you could work the whole day and make no money and take no trades. Very difficult to explain that to somebody. What have you done today? Nothing. But you've waited for opportunities the whole day, but they weren't there. And so it's like we're programmed so that you have to be productive, you have to do something. So that's why you have this urge that you have to make your time work. So you have to take a trade. you know, and so you have to play with that. And if you were doing that full time, if you were staring at screens, you know, when there was no trades, we would plan things to do, like work on your journal, watch something, even like we would watch something on YouTube or whatever, just have something in the background whilst we were waiting for our trades to alert us or trigger us. So keep yourself busy. So before you disappear again, Gavin, I think, you know, do you want to say anything to people?
Yeah, make sure you pay your bills, otherwise you get cut off.
Yeah, and don't take the mickey out of your mate for his internet.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I can't control this. I can only control how I react to this. It's funny that we're talking about that at the start of the show, and this is the week when, for some reason, the Wi-Fi, which is on a monthly bill, by the way, for some reason.
Well, people have suggested pay as you go here.
Maybe that's an option. I even tried to hotspot off my iPhone. But one thing I was going to talk about, and maybe I'll leave it before we bounce for other people to ponder on, your analogy. I was thinking about it whilst I was waiting to get cut back up to be put back on after getting cut off. The analogy of a full plate of food, that's like saying, well, once you've got to the 10%, do you then take the extra trades? Because you're full, you're satiated, you've achieved your objective, you've filled that desire for food. How about when you're hungry and there's a plate of table on the food? Do you eat the food then?
Well, do you know what? I think even more specific than that is it the type of food that you should be eating?
There you go.
Look, I'm going to be honest with you, right? Like, I was always quite strict and against my kids having like bad food, but I've relaxed a bit because I understand that we all do it and we've all had it. And so like every now and again, we'll go to, and they like it. We'll go to McDonald's and they'll get a Happy Meal. Now, when you're starving, I don't want to eat that stuff. But sometimes, like when you're starving, you get tempted, don't you? You think, oh, should I just get something? So that's the point where you say, well, no, I don't want to eat that because it doesn't meet my rules. It doesn't meet because I'm going to be tired after that. And that's going to have a spiraling effect on my day, my evening, and that could have a spiraling effect on my next. So but you can have a rule where you can have it. I'm not saying anything against it. I'm just saying if your plan is not to have it, and then you give in because you're just there and you think, well, it's easy. I don't have to go home and make my salad and salmon. I could just have a burger. It's there. Well, again, you've broken your rules. And if you're somebody who does that in your life, you'll do that in your trading. 100%. 100%. There's no differentiation, guys. I can tell you that with certainty.
Interesting.
Yeah, well, I know the big tasty's back.
Yeah,
but the key thing here, Gav, is not that it's wrong, but it's what are your rules and are you breaking them? That's it. That's all it is. I don't make anybody wrong for what they want to eat. So
this is kind of a redundant comment then. It probably should be in my plan not to have a McDonald's. Fair point.
You can have it once a month.
Yeah, exactly that. But this is, and again, we get to create what we want, what works for us. So if a McDonald's works for you and it's part, are we still talking about the analogy of trading now? We're not really talking about the golden arches, are we? Or are we? I'm a bit confused.
No.
A little bit confused, I must confess. So, but yeah, there's a whole nother thing on that maybe we can talk about, because I've put myself in a prison with foods for years, which is crazy. And it's, again, part of limiting beliefs or actual testing your willpower. I'm not really sure, but very interesting conversations, which we can pick back up for next week. And also in the group, also in the group, if you want to fire off anything like this, carry on the conversation in the comments. We can pick it up. We can swoop back round and have a look at it. I just want to make a request. If everybody can chip in 50p to make sure that my pay-as-you-go Wi-Fi doesn't run out for next week.
Send them a link, mate.
That would be most appreciated. Otherwise, I'm wary of cutting out for a fourth time on this live stream. So unless there's anything else that you want to talk about, maybe you want to talk about how fries and whether you should have a strawberry milkshake with your burger, or if there's nothing else that you want to talk about, food or coffee or trading, then I think we're good for this week.
Yeah, I think we're good, mate. We'll pick this up next week because it's quite interesting, and it's interesting, yeah, because it's all related at the end of it.
It really is. Right, guys, have an amazing weekend, whatever you're up to. Thank you very much for tuning into the show, or tuning into the show even. We are gonna biggity bounce. See you next week.